Right now, a grisly crime on the west side.
A woman taking care of a 9-month-old is accused of killing the baby.
Then decision 2015 and a big boost for the campaign of mayoral challenger Jesus Chuy Garcia.
He gets the endorsement of Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Plus, a weekend nightmare reaches a happy ending.
A suburban woman's show dogs were stolen while visiting Michigan.
How she was finally reunited with them.
The NBC5 News starts right now.
Live from NBC5, this is the NBC5 News at 4:30.
Good afternoon. I'm Allison Rosati in for Marion Brooks.
And I'm Rob Elgis. We begin with breaking news on the northwest side. A Metro train has derailed and big delays are expected. Mike Lorber's live with more in Sky 5. Mike?
We are here about the 1800 block north on Hamlin, Rob, near Hamlin and Wabansia here. A Metro train derailment. The derailment being described as minor with no major injuries, but the impact on travelers pretty major at this point. If you normally travel the Milwaukee District North Line, Milwaukee West Line, or the Metro North Central service, those are the trains that roll to Antioch. Metro describing them as significant delays. Trains are getting through on those other tracks, but they're rolling through very slowly. You can see that engineers are out here working. There are no street closures in the area, but for folks who take Metro, big time delays for the afternoon rush hour. We're live here in the city's northwest side. I'm Mike Lorber in Sky 5.
All right, Mike, thanks for that information. Let's go now to Mike Gillis. He joins us now on the phone, and Mike is a spokesperson for Metro. Mike, what is the very latest that you've found out?
Well, I think your traffic reporter gave you the latest. This was a derailment that happened at a junction where three lines that are used by three lines, the Milwaukee West and North and the North Central service, couldn't have happened at a worse spot or at a worse time for our rush hour service. So we are advising people, particularly on the Milwaukee North line, to seek alternative transportation if possible, maybe a different Metro line. The CTA is honoring our tickets on the blue line and brown lines.
Way early, Mike, I know, but we're looking at this live image from Sky 5. Any idea how that could happen?
No, we don't know what the cause is at this point.
Okay, and Mike, what should commuters know? How many commuters will probably be impacted by this?
You know, I don't have the count of the commuters on those three lines. It's in the thousands in the rush hour. You know, we are warning everyone that there will be significant delays, and if they can seek and use alternative transportation, then they should.
All right, Mike Gillis with Metro, thanks so much, and we'll get back to you as the situation continues to develop tonight. Thank you.
It's going to be a long night for a lot of folks coming out of Union Station. We want to talk about another top story here at 4:30, and this is a gruesome crime in the city's Little Village neighborhood. A female relative is accused of killing a 9-month-old girl. NBC5's Katie Kim is live now with this story. Katie?
Rob, we are learning horrific details about what happened in this home behind me. A police official says the family member slashed the baby's throat with a power saw, apparently because the child would not stop crying. The 52-year-old woman, who neighbors say may be the child's grandmother, is in police custody. The death of a 9-month-old baby girl has shaken this community to the core.
To see something like that, it just breaks your heart.
Chicago police responded about 9:30 Monday morning to this home on the 2800 block of South Avers Avenue. When they arrived, police say they found the child dead with visible trauma to her body and a 52-year-old female relative with self-inflicted wounds. The woman was transported to the hospital in stable condition and is now in police custody. Francisco Areola has lived right next door for 20 years. He says a mother and father, their 2 grown daughters, and at least 1 infant lived in the home.
I saw a young girl with a man. She was crying, saying, when am I going to see her again? When am I going to see my mom again?
Neighbors say the family was quiet and kept to themselves. This Little Village neighborhood is filled with unspeakable sadness.
It's sad. It's just sad, period. You're just hearing of anything happen to anyone in the neighborhood, anywhere.
But it's terrible. It's terrible news to hear that. Because I'm a very sentimental person.
The 52-year-old woman was taken to Mount Sinai Hospital. Police have not yet filed charges against her. Live in Little Village, Katie Kim, NBC5 News. Back to you.
A horrific story. Thank you, Katie. The teen who pleaded guilty to robbing Mayor Emanuel's teenage son appeared in court today. Prosecutors say 18-year-old Philip Payne confessed to attacking Emanuel's son Zach outside the family's Ravenswood home. The judge sentenced him to 3 years probation and community service. Payne apologized to Mayor Emanuel's wife during today's hearing. Turning now to Decision 2015 and the race for mayor of Chicago. Today, Jesus Chuy Garcia got a big boost for his campaign, the endorsement of Reverend Jesse Jackson, along with several other Southside ministers, while Mayor Emanuel's supporters criticized Garcia's promises. NBC5's Charlie Wojciechowski is on the story for us. Charlie?
Allison, it is just under a month till the April 7th runoff election, and both campaigns are kicking into high gear. Garcia today focusing on endorsements, while Emanuel let others do his speaking for him. Walking side by side through Englewood this morning, Jesus Chuy Garcia picked up the support of the Reverend Jesse Jackson and a group of Southside ministers who say their neighborhoods have been ignored by City Hall.
We need someone who is going to work with us, be responsible to us, and give us what we need in our community.
He has a consistent track record of service, and we trust him and believe that he will assume the burden of responsibility to work with us to reconstruct where we live.
Garcia says if elected, he would direct more city resources to neighborhoods in need of redevelopment.
Neighborhoods have been left behind by this administration. The policies of this administration have failed neighborhoods like the neighborhood that we are in today.
Today, the mayor made no campaign appearances, instead allowing a group of aldermen to speak for him, saying that Garcia's campaign promises would cost taxpayers an additional $1.9 billion a year.
Since November, Chuy Garcia has been promising, and promising to spend the city's money like it's a money tree. But after 20 years in public office, he isn't doing, he has no plan to pay for all of these pipe dreams.
Garcia is promising to release his financial plan for the city this week. In the meantime, he's courting his former opponents for their support, today stopping by the office of Bob Fioretti for an almost hour-long meeting.
Bob and I have been talking since election night, and our dialogue continues. We did have a good conversation.
While Alderman Carrie Austin and others were saying Garcia's plans would boost property taxes for Chicago residents by an average $1,900 a year, she would not rule out the possibility of a property tax increase even if Emanuel wins the election. Rob?
Well, Charlie, a man who was in prison for 20 years on rape and kidnapping charges is found to be wrongly imprisoned. DNA evidence cleared Angel Gonzalez of the crime, but he will not be getting out of prison just yet. NBC5's Anthony Ponce is live in Waukegan to explain. Anthony?
And, Rob, it was an emotional moment when the judge threw out the conviction of Angel Gonzalez, who spent the last 2 decades of his life in prison for a crime that we now know he did not commit. He turned to his attorney, he hugged her, and he told her for the first time in 21 years he felt alive.
Thank you for everything that you've done for us.
Tears of joy from the family of Angel Gonzalez, now 41 years old, who was wrongly convicted of rape and kidnapping in 1994.
I just want to say thank you everybody to coming today for my brother, and I hope he can get out soon.
The family also got a public apology from Lake County State's Attorney Michael Nierheim.
If words were enough, I'd say I'm sorry, and I am sorry. But you know, we are sorry this has happened, and it seems trivial when you're talking about 21 years of a person's life. But it's important to note that we did work hard alongside the Innocence Project.
The Innocence Project helped prove that Gonzalez didn't commit the crime using conclusive DNA evidence not available in the 90s. They thanked Nierheim for being open-minded about overturning the conviction given the advances in science.
And I think that all the people in Lake County, you know, should feel good that their district attorney's office cares about correcting wrongful convictions.
Gonzalez hugged his attorney when the judge vacated the sentence, which prompted a scolding from the court, but that wasn't nearly enough to take away from the uplifting mood.
He's very happy that finally the right thing has happened.
Despite the ruling, Gonzalez will not walk out of prison just yet. While he was in prison, he was sentenced to 3 more years for damage to property in Livingston County. That's a matter his attorneys hope to have resolved as early as tomorrow, when Gonzalez could finally walk free. So while everyone here was feeling very happy for Gonzalez and his family, let's not forget there is a victim in this case, and prosecutors say this whole turn of events has been very difficult for her because she's lost the peace of mind knowing that her attacker is behind bars, because while the DNA evidence cleared Gonzalez, it didn't point to anyone else specific. So we'll have much more on that part of the story coming up in our 6 p.m. news. For now, we're live in Waukegan. Anthony Ponce, NBC5 News.
Anthony, thanks for all the information. So some commuters on MCTA's Red Line face possible delays that may last the whole year. That's because crews are beginning a major reconstruction of the Wilson station. That forces Red Line trains to share the same track with the Purple Line Express track. The slowdown is expected to extend from the Wilson to Belmont stations.
Everybody's talking about it, the weather. Last week we were freezing, a very different story today. People shed their coats to enjoy all the sunshine at Millennium Park. This warm-up is welcome, a big change after February's record-breaking cold. And we're all hoping that this marks the end of winter. Please let it be. Let's check in with Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Brant Miller.
Never say never yet, but it's still pretty nice. I actually found the rubber feet to my patio furniture. The snow revealed that and a lot more in the yard. Slowly, we're seeing the snowpack disappear. Here's what we're looking at as you peer out the window at the Willis Tower off to the north and east. You see plenty of sunshine across Chicago. Let's head to the western suburbs. This is Streamwood High School. In the western suburbs, some high, thin clouds. Partly cloudy conditions tonight, but look at these temperatures. 49 at O'Hare, 51 at Midway, the Gary Airport at 52. A little cooler in some of the western suburbs where there's more snowpack. We'll drop off to near freezing there tonight. 30s in the city. Tomorrow, back into the 50s. Some places may see mid to upper 50s tomorrow. How long does this last? That's the question you're asking. We'll answer that with the extended forecast coming up. Rob, Allison, back to you.
Thank you, Brant.
So coming up, how Chicago played an important role in the history of the telephone.
Then protests grow in Madison, Wisconsin over a deadly police shooting.
A truck crash takes out a toll booth. Whoa, incredibly, everyone survives.
Unbelievable. Rob Stafford's in our newsroom right now with a look at what we're working on for our news at 5 o'clock. Hi, Rob.
Hi, Allison. Next at 5, taking heat. Aaron Schock fires back after questions about his spending habits. Plus, it's her bandage of courage. Hear from the woman seriously injured by glass at a Blackhawks game. And the surprising link between daylight saving time and heart attacks. Those stories and much more next at 5.
Let's update our top story. A Metro train has derailed. Big impact on the evening commute. Mike Lorber's live with more. Mike?
Rob, I would not expect any progress anytime soon here. This derailment at the 1800 block north on Hamlin, the city's northwest side, impacting 3 separate Metro rail lines. As we pan out here, and we can show you a ground shot to see the damage that was done during this derailment. The Metro North Central service and both the Milwaukee North and West line will have significantly delayed traffic going into this afternoon's rush hour. You can see they're single tracking through the area, but very, very slow as they get through here. I would expect delays up to at least an hour, if not more. Metro not giving it significant time, and as you heard the spokesperson say before, they're saying you really should seek out alternative travel this afternoon. We'll keep you posted on any developments. There are no significant street closures in the area. We're live here. We're near Hamlin and Wabansia. Mike Lorber and Sky 5.
Yep, thanks, Mike. Stay put. We'll check in with you again later. So the protests continue in Madison, Wisconsin today as students march toward the Capitol to demonstrate against a white police officer who killed an unarmed black man. Students skipped school and filled all 3 levels of the Capitol Rotunda. On Friday, Madison police officer Matt Kenny shot 19-year-old Tony Robinson during a confrontation inside an apartment.
The pain of the loss of life on Friday trickles into our lives as well. We're not compartmentalized, we're not robots, and we feel the same sense of loss and angst.
Robinson pleaded guilty in an armed robbery last year. The investigation's in the hands of the Wisconsin Department of Justice, not the local police. Catholics in New York said goodbye to Cardinal Edward Egan. Public visitations being held today. Cardinal Egan was an Oak Park native. The 82-year-old died last week after going into cardiac arrest. He spent 9 years leading the Archdiocese in New York. Cardinal Egan's funeral is scheduled for tomorrow.
A stunning rescue to tell you about. A toddler in Utah was rescued over the weekend after the car that she was in plunged into the river. Sadly, her mother, who was driving the car, was killed. The 18-month-old baby girl was not found until a fisherman noticed the wreck about 13 hours after the crash. Police officers first on the scene found the toddler suspended in her car seat, clinging to life. They all report hearing a mysterious voice calling them for help.
It was very surreal, something that I felt like I could hear somebody telling me they needed help.
Investigators still don't know what caused the crash. The toddler's condition is said to be slowly improving. Shocking video now. Take a look. Released on an intense crash in New Hampshire. Unbelievable. A truck driver lost control, plowed into an unmanned toll booth, thank goodness. The truck also crashed into a car. 2 people were hurt, including the driver of that semi. It is not clear what caused the driver to lose control.
Toll booth is just gone. Luckily, no one was in there. So Brant Miller returns with a promising forecast.
Also ahead, a frantic weekend ends happily for a suburban woman after her show dogs were stolen in Michigan. Happy ending for a Chicago woman whose show dogs were stolen in Ann Arbor. Teresa Przybylski took her Siberian Huskies to Michigan for a dog show, but someone stole her van with the 3 dogs inside. 2 were found Saturday, and today she found her 3rd dog safe and sound. Przybylski told us by phone that she couldn't have done it without help.
I mean, everybody, just incredible. Incredible, the dog community, the people of Detroit, the media of Detroit, everybody, you know, they just stepped up to help us get our dogs back.
All the dogs were found roaming around Detroit. The stolen van was recovered as well. Przybylski says all the dogs seem to be okay. It looks like something out of Close Encounters. Yep, it's actually, though, the first stop in Oman by a solar-powered plane on its amazing trip around the world. Now, it took off from Abu Dhabi earlier today, and it has this, as the video shows, it doesn't need the sun to fly because it has 4 lithium batteries to keep it aloft at night, but that should be something to see.
But a lot of UFO calls as people saw that thing coming in. Brant Miller's here with Summer.
We're just jumping ahead.
I'm kind of proud of the fact I squandered the entire weekend.
Good.
Totally worthless. It was just cashing that sleep that we needed.
Thank you, Brant.
It's up to our top story. Metro train is derailed. It's got a big impact on the evening commute. Mike Lober is in Sky 5. Mike, what can you tell us?
Well, Rob, it seems like the delays are getting worse here, particularly on the Milwaukee North Line. That they're now saying on the Metro site that the Milwaukee North Line service will not be operating trains until further notice, and they also have shuttle buses up in the Deerfield area. The Milwaukee North West Line that rolls out to the Elgin area will have significant delays, in that North Central service also will have big-time delays. This is all due to the derailment here, the 1800 block north on Hamlin. They are trying to resurrect this and get this going, but it's going to be a while. They're single tracking. You want to check the Metro Rail site, metrorail.com, or our site, NBCchicago.com. There will be big delays on Metro this afternoon. Back to you in the studio.
Just saw we've got a camera on the ground. Those were our first line images from the scene, so that's good. We'll have 2 cameras now as this continues to develop.
And we'll continue to follow it. Up next, Chicago and the phone.
The first 5 words spoken on a telephone. Come here, I want you. I'm Leanne Trotter. Coming up, we'll tell you about an exhibit that details the history of the telephone.
New exhibit about the history of the telephone opens tomorrow on Michigan Avenue. Well, today our Leanne Trotter got a preview.
March 7th, 1876, Alexander Graham Bell was awarded the U.S. patent for the telephone. 3 days later, he used the first working phone.
That was what Alexander Graham Bell first said, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he yelled out, "Mr. Watson, come here, I want you." And that was the first complete sentence ever transmitted over telephone wire.
The AT&T flagship store on North Michigan Avenue is introducing its new interactive exhibit called Journey of Innovation. From the first word spoken on a telephone.
In the late 70s, there were only 10 cell towers covering 60,000 acres in Chicago.
To interactive digital displays. Among the rare artifacts you can see, the first commercial mobile telephone, which was launched in 1946.
Almost like a walkie-talkie, because that's how it operated. You'd have to push a button and reach an operator, and she would connect you with another user.
They added a rotary dial in 1965 so people could dial their own phones. And believe it or not, commercial cell phone service was launched right here in Chicago in 1983 at Soldier Field from a phone just like this. Then in 1984 came the first handheld cell phone.
We call it the brick phone today because of its clunky size and weight, but it was a revolutionary phone when it came out in 1984.
And what could arguably be called the first smartphone, which allowed users to use fax, email, and write on a pad, came out in 1994. So what would Alexander Graham Bell say about all this innovation?
I mean, he was already working on wireless phones in the 1880s, so I don't think he'd be shocked by it.
Leanne Trotter, NBC5 News.
The Journey of Innovation exhibit at the AT&T store on Michigan Avenue opens to the public tomorrow. There's still more news ahead, and Rob and Allison are here with the preview. Busy day here in the newsroom.
Sure is. Thank you, Rob.